Kaleigh, thank you so much for inviting me to your studio today. We came out to Wabash, which is so cute. This area is perfect. You are from Canada, now in Indiana, but take me back to Canada for a moment and tell me about you as a child. Were you always creative? Did you always sort of know that you were an artist?
Oh, well, I think every kid has this little part of them that there's like something that they really want to be. And I remember my sister grew up, she took piano lessons and she was so good at piano and she ended up going on studying it in school. And my brother was always really good. He had just this raw talent for pretty much anything he would start, but especially drawing and then onto guitar as well, so both very musical. And I remember going to my mom and just being like, what's my thing, Mom? What's the thing that I'm gonna like really be good at? And so I got into creative writing and I wrote like started a novel I was gonna get published and had all these big dreams. And I wanted to be a fashion designer at one point. Like I always had this kind of creative pull. And I love the way that finding photography has allowed me to incorporate all of those childhood desires. Like I'll make costumes for my photos. I'll have stories even about, you know, some of the characters and images. So it's really nice to be able to use photography as a medium to just cater to all of these other mediums that I love to incorporate, but maybe I'm not as strong in, or they come to support the greater picture. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so when did you come upon photography and did you know right away, oh, okay, this is going to sort of encompass all of these things that I love?
Yeah, so it's very cliche, but my mom had a film camera and I went out and I just like brought it up to my face, and having that viewfinder bring things into focus, I started to really hone in on things around me and realize all these little beautiful pockets that were everywhere. Like we were fixing up this old dilapidated house and there's just this whole little trail of dandelions that are coming along where there was supposed to be a path underneath, and kept bringing the camera up. I'm like, that's so cool. And I take a picture and I go down on the beach, take these pictures, and we get the roll developed and my parents are like, these are really kind of cool, you know? And they ended up getting me this little digital camera for Christmas, which was like my big Christmas present. And I just took stupid pictures of my friends, like we would just do funny stuff, but I ended up really coming to love it. And so I worked my first job at Dairy Queen, saved up money and got my first DSLR. And then I actually have a friend that I met online when I was like a teenager, and we just kept in contact. And she got a camera at the same time and just happened to get into photography. So we ended up doing this 365-day project together where we did self-portraits every day for a year, and we would post them and critique each other, and we really taught each other so much about photography through that. And for me, I started it as I was finishing high school, and I was trying to figure out the direction that I wanted to go in. Like, what am I gonna do next? What's my thing gonna be, right?
Yeah.
All my friends are going off and they're doing their general studies and they're going to become nurses and teachers and lawyers and all these things. And there wasn't really a place for studying photography where I lived. So I was like, I'm gonna take in a year off. I'm gonna keep teaching myself photography. If I stick with it for this long, like it's important to me, right?
Yeah.
And the passion just grew and grew the more I got into this project. And especially with self-portraits, I chose that as a way for me to have the space and time to experiment and make mistakes and not feel that pressure of like, I owe something to somebody else, I can just go. And it became very therapeutic for me, and it's something that I've really carried through to this day, you know, like 10, 12 years later, as I'm photographing, a lot of them are of me. And I've gotten better at being able to photograph myself vulnerably in more spaces where there might be more people or there's more of that pressure or whatever. That takes time, definitely. But I do think that my ability to express that vulnerability is so important for people. Being honest and being vulnerable is really the heart of it all, you know? Like that's why we create. And I think that's why I lean a bit more towards these conceptual images. Like, yeah, they're fun and flashy and interesting, but also it's like, this is something that I'm working through that I can only work through by creating this. I can only solve this problem by solving this other problem, I guess. But, you know?
I want to dig into that
Yeah.
because it's just so fascinating to me. So tell me, When it comes to creating a piece, my first thought is, well, what is it, Photoshop?
Yes.
Is it, so how?
Okay, yes. So it
Not
is,
to put too fine a point on it, how?
please. No, I love spreading the magic too. There's definitely a little varnish of Photoshop. Some images are definitely composites. And I have tried to do as much in camera as I can.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hands-on things. It's kind of like that, like FX makeup and CGI, right? You want that balance where you have a really nice place for your feet, one foot to have grounded and the other one to just kind of float away.
Yeah.
So a little bit of Photoshop, a little bit of guts too, just a little bit of like, my dad always said that to model for me is an extreme sport, and I should probably get waivers for some of the trees I make people climb and things, but you get a great story, great shot.
Yes, and I mean, like I said, I'm looking through your portfolio and it's just incredible.
Thank you so much.
How do you describe your work?
That's always been something that I've rolled around in my brain, and even I have a hard time pinning me down. I would say conceptual, surreal, portrait photographer. I definitely dip in a lot of fantasy elements, but over the years my style can kind of come in and out of that. So I like to just kind of say, yeah, a conceptual photographer.
How important is it for you to tell a story through each of your photographs?
I think for a time, I put a lot of emphasis on how much story can I pull from a picture, and that got me to making really extraordinary images. But as I've begun to pull back, I've been able to make more impactful images by just having something very maybe simple to say or think or feel. Almost like making shape to emotion. You know what I mean? Like being able to have an idea that encapsulates a feeling. I'm a very deeply feeling person, and I think maybe that's how I process it, is like, man, this feels like, you know, I've got a little corset on my throat and I just like, I can't speak because it feels so tight. And then that becomes a picture, you know? And that
Literally,
yes,
that became
literally
a picture.
that became a picture. So it's a really fun balance of like having those really soft, tender moments of like, almost like a little diary entry. And then like, oh, here's a chick riding a bird with a moon behind her, you know? Like, where is she going? What is she doing? Which, you know, I have written little stories about and things like that. But I think that's one thing that has kept people really captivated over the years through following my work, has been getting to feel what I feel and go on the little adventures that I go on.
Yes.
And I'm very grateful for all of the ones I've been able to take.
It's so interesting. As I was going through your website, I was seeing, you know, you have photographs of new families, parents with brand new babies. And it's like, oh, that's so perfect. It's a moment in time. And obviously they will cherish that and have it in their home. That's the kind of stuff I have in my house.
Yes.
But then I look at some of your other work and your self-portraits and that kind of thing, and I'm like, yes, I want that picture of that woman I don't know in my home because it just resonates with me. So is there, I mentioned that vulnerability. Is there a piece of that too, to know that you and your story and a piece of you is going to live in people's homes?
I think that has always been my biggest dream. Like anytime I sell art a little sporadically, and when it happens, it's never any less magical. I never forget just how important what's happening is happening. So it is my pride and joy to make art that can speak to people in that way, for one, and that they would want in their home is like, yes, because that's the connection that I want. I'm like, am I crazy? I don't know, maybe I am, but I'm just gonna throw it out there. And when you get that reciprocity, it's just true human connection. So that's just been really great to be able to share and have it received well. I think I've really been working on making what comes to mind and not trying to make what I think other people will like. I was really caught in that for a time, and I've seen just how much more meaning there is to it for people doing it that way. So I think really just focusing on that and letting the tiles fall into place is kind of, yeah, it's next.
What has art taught you about yourself?
Oh, that is such a loaded question. Art has taught me so much. They talk a lot about trusting the process of art, but I think at the end of the day, a lot of it is trusting yourself and your own process with whatever it is that life throws at you. I have definitely learned how similar we all are, you know? Like, it's so funny because there's so many different types of art, and I love that. And I love that there's so many different types of people, but there's always this common thread. There's always something that somebody can find in something else. I've shown my work to many different types of people, and I love when you get the old fisherman who, you know, has lived in the same town his whole life and has a very interesting story of his own and can look at something of mine and be like, oh yeah, I love those woods, I've been there, and that, you know, and that reminds me of a story that my grandmother told me. And there's like these common threads between us. And yeah, just being honoring of that instead of alienating of it is where it's at.
I think we could all use a little bit more of
a little
that.
bit more, when we can get it, right?
Kaleigh, thank you so much. This has been such a pleasure. Your work is exquisite. I hope you continue to create. Please keep giving your art to the world because we need it.
Thank you so much, and thank you for coming in and letting me talk about my art with you. It's been a likewise pleasure and honor, so thank you.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Arts in Focus on PBS Fort Wayne is funded in part by the Community Foundation of Greater Fort Wayne,